going to do is this. We're going to identify customers where we could just focus on the integration for them. And so what that kind of evolved into for us was we partner with larger integrators. So, you could think the the ADTs of the world and the Securitoses of the world and the ADT, which is now Everon. They got bought out. Johnson Controls, Convergent, these are big, massive companies that do exactly what we do.
Right.
Right. But they're national or international. Okay. And so those guys are taking that whole pie. They're saying, hey, we're going to do all that. Right. What we've done is we've put ourselves in the role of integration for those companies. Right. And so, in other words, and this business model kind of came to the surface. What's happened over, call it the last 10 years of the industry, is these bigger companies, what they've found is, at least as I've interpreted it, I've never been told this directly by any of them, but I think what they've found is the integration piece is a moving target for them. In other words, they will get a customer, do the design, put it in front of the customer, get them to buy it, which means now they're bound by this contract, this fixed price contract, to do this install.
Right.
Okay. But the problem is they have not been able to do the install, the integration piece, cost effectively. So they have overruns,
Gotcha.
right? And so what they found is that, and again, this is my assumption. I haven't talked to any C-level dudes in any of these companies that have told me this, but what they found is that part of the pie, they cannot fix the cost. You can fix the cost of a design and hit that. You can fix the cost. And if you don't, it's really easy to change order your way through it. Whereas in the integration piece, customers eventually say, no more change orders. I'm sorry, you guys are not hitting the mark, but we're not paying any more money, right? And so, so for them, that directly starts eating into their bottom line. So now this thing that should have been a fixed cost on the integration side becomes a moving target with overruns, and now they're losing money. So this becomes the part of the pie that they're losing money in.
Gotcha.
So what we decided to do is come to the table and say, what's your budget, right? And just fix the cost for them.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's how my business has been built, really.
Yeah.
So we don't go out and try to find, at least at this point. Now, ultimately, we endeavor to go in that direction because we want the whole pie as well. But for us, I think what we've decided to do, and in my opinion, it's the hardest aspect of the industry. It's what we're doing is the integration is by far the hardest piece, and we're doing it at a fixed budget. And so the beauty of that is if you can do that and do a good job of it, you've in effect created a reoccurring revenue stream, because every one of these companies I just put on the table, they all have had this problem. They're big behemoths, right? And they don't pivot fast. It's an act of Congress to get anything changed. They kind of, because the demand is so big, they just kind of hire just about anybody that basically meets the criteria. And that does not bear out well oftentimes, especially on the integration side. And so they've all recognized this. And so what they've done is they have also shifted their business model to say, we will take that out of house. We will find a sub like Catalyst. We'll give it to them, we'll give it to them in a budget form, and we'll fix our cost. And the only thing that gets approved on a change order is something that's legitimately able to be approved, that we don't have to eat, right? As customer ABC, big integrator, we can directly pass that along. And so for us, we've identified that, and that's how I built the company, dude. It's
awesome.
It's just through. So I don't have to have salespeople because I'm not going out trying to sell. My sales come in doing an excellent job for that integrator.
Right.
And that integrator has salespeople.
Right.
Right. And so they're already selling the next thing.
Right.
And they're already stacking that into their pipeline. And then they're already calling us and saying, hey, this next one's it's coming up next month. You're going to wrap this one up. Here's the next one. And so they just feed us work continuously. I mean, we don't have to go out and sell in that sense. And so does that answer the question?
Absolutely, yeah. So they're essentially doing all of the front end selling contractor, not really contract, but contracts rather, etc. And then you're coming in and doing the work.
The labor piece, right?
That's
like installing the whole thing, making it work. So I mean, it's it takes
genius.
Yeah, it takes technical expertise. You have to be good at. That's the thing. Like focus on the thing. What am I good at? I'm not a sales guy. I've never been a sales guy necessarily. Can I do engineering? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
That's part of what we have to do. But the thing I'm good at is I'm good at the work. I'm good at being a technician. I'm good at taking this problem and solving it, right? And so it's like, just focus on your strengths.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's what we can do for you. And so now, I mean, if you want to talk about our sales are just identifying what we call channel partners, other companies just like those companies, and saying, hey, here's a problem we can solve for you.
So you're not actually having really to sell anything. You're just presenting what you're capable of doing, and they're like, okay, great.
Yeah, correct. And the sell comes in actually showing up and doing that thing, right?
Right.
And so where this all started in my mind many years ago, I was listening to a talk by Mark Cuban, and I don't remember, I literally don't remember the context of it, but here's what I do remember. Mark Cuban was saying, if you want to start, I was already in business at this point, but he was talking about starting a business, at least at this particular part of the talk. And he said, if you want to start a business, go identify a large company that has a hole and just plug it. That's all you have to do.
Man, that's really good.
That's simple. And so I'm sitting here thinking about that, and I'm like, dude, I know what the hole is in my industry.
Yeah.
Like I can, and I know I can plug it.
Yeah.
And so then it just became, the first company I connected with was a company called Red Hawk. Red Hawk has since been bought out by ADT, who has since been bought out by Everon. Huh. And, I just approached Red Hawk and I said, hey, here's what I can do for you. Do you guys have any overflow work? Do you have anything that you're not capable in-house of doing? And so, maybe it's just you have too much volume and you don't have enough technicians on staff, whatever it might be. And they were like, yeah, actually, we do. And that's where it started. And then, the whole industry was kind of in flux at that point, moving toward this, at least in my understanding. And, so it's like just find a hole to plug, man.
That's fantastic. That's really good stuff to think about, for sure.
I think so. Mark Cuban's a smart dude.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you think about starting a business, when it's like, for me, it was like, all right, what can I do that's going to make me money right now?
Sure. And
I think that a lot of times is motivation for a lot of people. They're just like, all right, I can do this. It's going to be good for me. I'm going to learn stuff that's going to make me money. I think very rarely is it approached from that perspective where it's like, okay, let's actually think about this and do this effectively. And that, I think, is a fantastic strategy, especially in that world, too, where it's like not all companies have the ability to ask themselves that question and be like, all right, what can I, like auto detailing, where it's like, okay, I could get hired as a detailer, and that would be per se plugging a hole, but at the same time, it's like I'm better off doing it myself.
Well, so take auto detailing, right? So it's like, well, all right, let's think about this. I can literally just try to go find people that want me to do detailing. Or what I could do is I could maybe get on Google and reach out to some companies that have a fleet of vehicles. So instead of me having to go find each person individually, I just find, because like here's the thing, dude. Right? Most companies that have fleets, I have a fleet of vehicles, we're just paying a monthly subscription to a car wash. It's like you need to get the truck washed. You want it to look good.
Yeah.
This is your branding, right? And so it's like, well, maybe what you could do is identify, ABC electrical company or plumbing company or whatever, and say, hey, every Wednesday I'll show up at your shop at 6 a.m. with my pressure washer and my guy or two.
Yeah.
And we're gonna wash every one of your vans.
Yeah.
And instead of you paying $25 a month to ABC Car Wash for a monthly subscription, you pay us, $15 a month for every van.
Yeah.
And so, every truck. And so it's just like saying, so it's kind of using that same, like, what hole can I plug idea, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, so it's like saying, we could do this cheaper and better than what you're paying for right now.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. Let's see here. Next on the list, we got. Already asked that. Business part. Okay, how do you approach decision making and problem solving in your business? I know obviously there's a wide range of like, okay, what could the decision be? What could the problem be? But as a general, and besides like
slowly
going to the Lord in prayer.
Well, number one, always praying, right? Always praying, and always having, like a key group of people that you'll counsel with, like, men in your life and women. I mean, my general manager in Denver, her name's Jennifer. She's she's crazy smart, dude, and her intuition is next level, right? She just gets it, and so it's like, my wife, right? She's the first person I'm going to talk to when it comes to, counseling, things I need to work through.
Yeah.
But then second to that, it's like there's two women that I'm going to probably bounce problems off of, and number one, my wife for sure, Jen secondly.
Yeah.
And so it's like I make that point. Brett, I mentioned him earlier, my CFO, and then certain men in the church, like guys that I've put, like Pastor Steve, right? He's our main teaching elder, but he's got a sharp business mind.
Yeah.
It's wild. He asks right questions. He understands that world, and it's beautiful because he understands it from the perspective of the gospel.
Absolutely, yeah. So he's able to integrate that.
Yeah, it's wonderful, dude. And so he's a really wise man to counsel with. But that's my point. It's like having like kind of that bench of people that you like, hey, these are the key people that I'm going to go to. And again, I think that's a biblical principle, right? It's like you want to have a multitude of counselors in that sense. Not too many. You don't want 17 people.
Right.
You want to identify a key group, right? But yeah, what I would say is it's slowly, dude. Slowly. Things have to be slow. Not so slow that it takes forever to get things done, but you have to methodically plot, right? You have to, here's the thing, dude. We have, and again, I also think this is just part and parcel with our generation, so to speak, our last two generations. We don't like to sit in pain. We don't want to sit in the suffering.
Does anybody?
Well, I don't think by nature anybody does, right?
Yeah.
Like certainly, right? We want to relieve it. But the reality is we have a lot more ability just through technology to quote unquote relieve the pain.
Yeah.
Maybe it's distract yourself. Maybe it's, get on the phone, start calling everyone and their mom, venting your problems,
So it's kind of more of like this my generation and generations coming forward. It's like, it's a lot easier to just cover it up as opposed to actually being proactive and going out and fixing it, doing something about
it. Well, and I would say even initially just sitting in it, just sitting on your problem and saying, you know what, here's the thing. Typically most things don't happen. Most problems don't come to the table. Like, sure, you're going to have these off-the-wall things that just come out of nowhere, right? It's
nothing happens overnight type thing?
Yeah, dang, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But most of the time in a business, problems develop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's like, look, just like in a marriage, quite frankly. So it's like, look, this thing, it took time to develop. It's going to take time to solve. And I think it's just realizing that, like, hey, I'm gonna sit with this and I'm going to be uncomfortable because I need to.
Yeah.
Like, I need to think about this. I'm not going to knee jerk, right? So it's like, I don't think there's a, like, okay, you got a problem, here's the ABC way to solve it. Because all problems are different. Now, I think you can generally categorize problems, people problems, technology problems, regulation problems within the industry, right? Whatever you're in, like financial problems, right?
Yeah.
So it's like each one of those is going to maybe take a specific approach, unique to that problem. But I would say, generally speaking, right? That's kind of where I'm at. I'm saying, look, generally speaking, the first thing you have to do is say, we're not doing anything fast. We're not. Okay, unless we absolutely must. Like, if this is something we need to solve right now, because it's going to affect, things to that degree, then sure, do what you got to do, and God help you, right? And He's faithful. But generally speaking, it's like, no, just go slow, sit with the pain for a little while, really think, really pray, bring in some counselors that you can talk to, put the problem before them, pray with them about it, and then plot your course. But not so slow, right? That the problem lasts and continues to be a problem.
Totally, yeah.
So that's a thing that takes nuance. You have to understand what that's going to be in that given situation. So yeah, for us, that's what we do, man. When I, I've got problems right now, bro, in my business, like very difficult challenges that I'm trying to work through. I mean, starting Florida was hard and expensive and presents a whole bunch of issues, that it's just like, some of it is, you don't know what you don't know. Some of it is, that we legitimately missed the boat on that one. Like, that's something we should have done and we didn't do it. And so it's like being able to think about those and move your way through them, but in a way that is going to honor the Lord and going to, again, use that framework, right? I'm going to honor the Lord and I'm going to care for the people around me. That's I mean, like, fundamentally, right? What does Jesus say? the whole law is summarized in 2 points, right?